We're here with Maya Lin to talk about a project that's been 5 years in the making. It's the What Is Missing project, and you can visit the project at whatismissing.net. We're here to talk about this project that has really been in development for many, many years, and today, or now, is really the first public launch of the project.
Well, yes, it's the public launch of the website. There has been a very large California Academy of Sciences artwork that was installed 4 years ago at California Academy of Sciences, and that's the first physical iteration. But this is a complex project. It was posed as an idea of, it is my last memorial, but it will take on as many shapes and forms as I have the energy to give to it. It's a multi-sided memorial, and with every new site, whether it's a temporary exhibition, whether it's taking over the MTV billboard in Times Square, whether it's a permanent installation, or for me, the nexus of the project comes together on the web. So whatismissing.net is a 3-phase website rollout. Last year we launched with the map of memory, but we didn't tell anyone about it because when we started, it was the map of the past. We knew we were going to build a map of the present, which would highlight what people are doing around the world to help. And the third phase, the map of the future, Greenprint, will start launching 2013, but my guess it'll take me 2 years to build out. And when I finished the website last year, I felt there was no way to go public with just what we were losing. And I felt, because of my reputation as a memorial maker, that I would wait until I could build out conservation in action and give people hope and tell people what they could do, that I would wait on anything public on the website launch until this year. And I think it drove a lot of people crazy, but I just felt like my goal is to use memory and use a sense of connection back to what we're losing in order to spur you to act. And since it took me another year to build up conservation in action, I had to wait till now.
And this project is the most collaborative project you've ever done.
Yeah, and yet at the same time, it's very private. I've done a lot of public works, and for a lot of it, I feel like I've gone back to grad school. There's a lot of research that goes on here, and it is extremely collaborative. We have Cornell Anthology Labs, who's donated all sounds and a lot of film. We've had National Geographic also donate a lot of the film that we play they're both accessible on the website, they're accessible at the permanent and temporary installations. We also have the BBC, they've donated, and then we've invited everyone from World Wildlife Fund, they're a key partner, to NRDC, Wildlife Conservation Society. There's a whole list. Panthera, Oceana, both small and medium groups are listed as part of Conservation in Action, and then we've also started to link to smaller groups, and we will be collecting more and more stories. So the website allows us to use time and be iterative in nature so that we can let people start adding their stories, and their stories, whether the story is about loss, whether it's about something that's come back, whether it's something they've heard about that, they knew that in the Thames River, the salmon and the oysters were so abundant, and then, so you could give us something historically factual. And also we'll be growing the What You Can Do. So it'll tell you what we can do in our everyday lives, and we'll be linking to groups that are focused on that. So there's this great website that talks about overconsumption. It's called The Story of Stuff. So it's collaborative, not just with environmental groups, but we'll be linking to artists, writers. So in a funny way, it's a memorial that is very activist oriented and is very, it's almost like the web allows it to be a public forum, and allows us to share stories and to bear witness, but also to tell you, hey, go help out this group. If you're interested in saving tigers, both WWF, Panthera, they're really focused on this, and they're focused in different ways. So I think it teaches you up about all the good that is being done, because I think I think actually we're a little scared of the future with global warming, okay, in Manhattan it was 60 degrees in January, there are tornadoes ripping through the Midwest. You have a poll now finally saying Americans believe that this is global warming related, climate related, and people are saying, well, what can I do? And there's a lot you can do. And I think that's one of the things that the site really does. It asks you to get engaged personally, locally, and also internationally.
I think the action portion of the site is really incredible. And this year being an election year, we've already seen sort of the discourse really moving towards gasoline prices again, really dominating the discussion around environmental issues.
And I think one of the things we'll be focused on, and it might actually come out earlier than Greenprint, is can we reset and rethink our priorities? And so some of the information we're finding, goes into what we're spending our money on. And so I think it's Lester Brown in his book Plan 3.0, he says to restore fisheries would cost $13 million. And it would allow us to have enough fish that we could actually feed the needs of the planet. And instead, like you look at what we're consuming, for instance, ice cream in Europe is $11 billion, or that cosmetics in the US or in Europe are, say, 13 billion. So we're finding these fun facts, and I think if we can maybe get those fun facts out there and go, do you understand that what this is about? We could, like, for 140 billion, raise people out of basic poverty, give health to everyone, basic health, also restore fisheries, restore soils, reforest, that we could basically bring back the health of the planet. So as we sit here and we nickel and dime our future away, we should just take a very solid look and a sobering look and say, this would take nothing if we just decided we needed to do this, which we do. We need to do it, and we need to do it now.
And the fact that it's backed up by data, there's this element of you're bringing in science, you're bringing in participation, but there's also the art,
right?
And how are you connecting it to artists as well around the world?
Well, we have, as we've researched and studied this, we've come across artists, writers, activists, all caring about the environment, wanting to do something, they're doing something. So we're going to make this in a way, it's an open forum, and will be the same way you'll click on a dot and see what an environmental group is doing. I'd like to choose, artists and what they're doing that's also raising awareness. And like if you look at James Baylog in the Extreme Ice Survey, he's been out there for 5-10 years documenting the glacial ice melting. It's powerful. And so we'll link you to other websites. There's sites that are just if you want to follow a monarch migration. There's a site that allows kids to go online and follow monarchs. And again, what's being done with both the disappearance of grasslands and the disappearance then of their main food, milkweed, is really harming them in North America, and then you go down to Central America, to Mexico, where they winter, and I was just there, the forests are rapidly disappearing. And for what? Palm oil. So again, look at the ingredients. Palm oil exists in cosmetics, in food. So I'm a firm believer in Michael Pollan, eat food, not too much, mostly plants. How can you define if it's food? If it has more than 3 ingredients, it's probably not food. So check it out. Look at the ingredients. Go for organic when you can. So these are all things that a lot of groups have been saying. I quote from all the sources. I'm actually, very rarely does my voice come out, though when it does, it's sort of at the intros and conclusions. And so we're trying to almost tell you a lot of groups are working on this. If you want to know more about this, go to this group's website. And there's great stuff going on all around the world. And so ultimately it's about giving you hope that there's actually a lot we can do. And yes, we have to change. Governments have to change. We have to actually say, and we have to vote in politicians that are going to say, we have to make some changes. We can't continue to consume at the level we're consuming.
Have you been satisfied with what this administration has done so far?
So far, I think they could do a lot more, and I'm actually hoping. I'm a firm supporter of them. I think they've done a lot. I think they tried to tackle healthcare, which, as an environmentalist, I would have loved if they had tackled the environment, but I respect that that's what he believed in, and I think he's been amazing on so many fronts, and I believe that he will, in a second term, he will really focus in, and I think that could be great. But I think we're at a point where, we've turned the care of the environment into a partisan issue, and nobody wins. If you think about where did the Clean Air Act come from, the Clean Water Act, the Endangered Species Act, or even if you go back to the founding of Yellowstone, these were under Republican administrations. The minute we flipped environment into, if you care about the environment, you're a bleeding heart liberal, we all lose. Everyone has to care about the environment. This should be an absolute nonpartisan issue. And I think as Americans, we consume more than anyone else on this planet, and we cannot be do what we say, not what we do. So I would say the way I grew up as a kid, I didn't buy as much, and I was a pretty happy kid. And I look at what my kids are pelted with, and that's why if you go to this one website, The Story of Stuff, it's like we're buried in the stuff. And I don't know if we're any happier. In fact, I would say we're the exact opposite. The more we buy, the more we want, the more we throw it away, the more it doesn't satisfy it, so then we have to go and buy something else. And I'm like going, whoa, 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 whoa. When did we turn into this mass disposable society? But we also have to take responsibility of what we're doing every day of our lives. And if we can turn around and do something like this studio went to a point where we now buy into a farmers cooperative there's about 8 of us here, so we cook in, because otherwise people bringing in lunches, the amount of plastic and garbage and what we throw away was going to be staggering. And I said, no, we don't want to do it. So again, if everyone can do something, whether I gave up, the plastic bags, or I try to, so I've got canvas bags, and I think I started doing that in New York maybe, I would say 5 years ago, and you would go to a store and they would think you were absolutely nuts, and they don't think you're nuts anymore.
Yeah.
So I think a lot of countries are banning plastic bags because they're clogging sewers, they're getting in the way. But at the same time, a paper bag that's cutting down an old growth forest isn't the right solution. So again, we need to take a lead. I think we're consuming 5 planet Earths. Europe is consuming 3. The world average is 1.3. So let's learn from the Europeans. What are they doing? What could we do better? I mean, why can't we begin to share and almost have a contest? Who can be greener? Who can actually leave the cleaner footprint? Who can leave the better environment for our kids? I mean, I think we have to start looking and learning from past mistakes. And so a lot of this is go to our site, give us a memory, connect back to what you actually have realized has disappeared in your own backyard. But then explore it, find out what groups are doing, go help them, and then check out what you can do.
So it's the 30th year of the unveiling of the Vietnam Memorial.
Yeah.
And with technology and with the sort of the knowledge that you have today, would you have done anything different?
No, I actually don't think so. But I think what my work has been about since that time, whether it's the art, the architecture, or the memorials, this actually is the bookend. It's like the one which is so physical, singular in a way, even though in its time it's pretty anti-monumental, it's pretty personal. I think all my works try to talk to you one-on-one. The website and where we are today allows me to jump into a whole different site-specific realm. And I think I write about the website, that it allows me to explore time and history in a way that you couldn't do in any other site. So I actually love the fact that I started with something so physical and real, and now we're ending with something very ethereal, very much about a collective memory base that keeps growing.
Do you feel any sort of sadness about this being your last memorial?
Not at all, because I think for me, though I say it's my last memorial, I'm an artist, I work in series. So often the series is 3, sometimes it's 5. I've been fortunate to be able to focus on some of the major cultural, historical issues of our time. War, civil rights, women's rights, Native American rights. So for me, ever since I was a kid, I've been concerned about what one species, mankind, is doing to the environment, and that if I could do anything to help. So I actually feel really very good that I'm trying. I believe each one of us should do something that they really care about, that they feel could actually make a difference in the world. And so for me, because I care so much about the environment, this is sort of my, lifelong passion, and I will give to it for the rest of my life. I set up my own not-for-profit foundation, and really believe that even though it's my last memorial, it probably won't ever have a real end to it. And it's the one I called into being, rather than, I think the others, incredibly worthy, and I really felt great working with the amazing groups that I have. This one I thought, well, I need to call this one into being.